Hey guys, today we're going to examine this famous slash infamous Walther PPK, which is featured in James Rankin's book on Walthers. Come check it out. Okay guys, this is the gun we're going to talk about, and this is called product placement. Now, I don't know how much money Starbucks is going to send me, but if you're from Starbucks, please keep this in mind. I had my morning coffee, so I'm raring to go. This gun is an famous slash infamous gun. Now, this is actually the wrong book because James Rankin wrote three. There's a blue one, a green one, and a red one. This is the Volume 2, which is engraved and presentation. I think the one that this is in is the green one, but I do have the pages. So from the book, I want to do a shout out to Tom and Rocky, who both kindly sent me copies of this page. And I've known about this. These books were written in the late 60s, so they're a little bit dated, but this was the last PPK ever made, according to James Rankin. He writes it up here. He gives the serial number. You can also see the serial number here. And hopefully you can see that that matches up. There's the serial number of the gun, and there's the gun itself. So I actually now have the gun that's in the book. And I did purchase this, by the way, so I own this. And that's crucial to the story because I own it, you would think I'd want to talk you into it, but I'm not sure I'm going to do that. Now he says here, this is the latest known serial number, and so the last PPK made. The other controversy is when was it made? I believe the last PPK in Zella-Mehlis was made in 1944, not 1945. I have a lot of evidence. I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but we also have guns that are inscribed in the 420,000 range that say Merry Christmas 1944. So I know that PPKs were made up till 1944. This one, however, the serial number doesn't make sense to me. And here's why. This gun is what I consider right now is the next to the last one known. I actually did a video when I got this, and I keep a database. It's got thousands of serial numbers. This serial number, which is 431115, I presented as this is the last one known at this point. If you have one later, I actually had somebody contact me, and so this time I'll do a shout out to James. He watched the video and he said, I have 413116. So consecutive number. I have 115. He has 116. At this moment in time, these would be the last two known. Now, yes, we want to get them together someday. We think they should get together. They were among the last ones made. Also, what I notice about these last ones made, this is almost a high polish finish. Now, it's very thin, but you do see the Walther logo. You see the etching on the slide, Walther logo. And it does have a wartime magazine right here. And again, it's consecutive number with 116, and these are the last two known. It has an issue stamp. Now, issue stamp meaning an eagle end stamp saying that this was inspected and issued. So it left the factory to go to somebody because it's high polish finish, it might have been a high ranking German, or it could have gone to military officer. Along the same vein, here's one that's pretty old. I think it's 430,000 range. It has no issuance proofs. This also looks high polish. So it's like within the last 1,000 ever made, never issued, no proof stamps. Looks like a high polish finish, and it's in .22 caliber. It came with a box mag. That's a correct magazine for 1944. But this one was in the factory, probably picked up by a GI. It is matching. And the reason I say 44 is because whenever you look at Walther PPs, my theory is they stopped making the PPK just because they had so many orders they couldn't keep up. It was a waste of time to produce both, so they said, let's do away with the PPK. This was more favored by the military and by the police because it carries one extra round, and it's a little bit bigger. So this is a nice pocket pistol, up to 44, and then up to 45. There is no logo. Remember I said you still have the logo. This has no logo. Instead, they use the AC, which is a factory code that you know from collecting P38s. AC, AC41, AC42 was Walther 1941, 42. You can see a phosphate part right here. Late war, no logo, AC marked, I should say, late war 1945. Also, you see some black plastic grips, but also some wooden grips. The theory is they were running out, the grips were made with petroleum product, and they were low on petroleum, so they started using wooden grips. And you never find wooden grips on a PPK, but you do find them on these late war PPs. Here's another one. No logo, phosphate safety, blued safety. Serial number, by the way, is in the 390,000 range, 393, 392. On my records, the latest I have is 399.9. And those are all mismatched guns without being issued, not being proved. A lot of those last ones, the last couple hundred seemed like they went to the East Germans. So once the GIs left the factory, my theory is the GIs came in, they put these together, they're mismatched. There's no stamp, never issued. GIs, we call these a GI put together. Any PPK that was picked up in the factory, this is matching, but there are no stamps. So I think this was also picked up in the factory. But again, the last couple hundred, my records indicate they are VOPO, went to the East Germans, and we know that the Zella-Mehlis factory was in the Russian sector. So the GIs come in, they pretty much pillaged the place. Some people would say loot. They were picking up souvenirs to take home. I know I watched one special on TV about how the Americans were in that sector, but they had to leave and the Russians moved in. So the Russians then came in, took over the factory. They also picked up a couple hundred guns. They did make a match because they used electric pencil, and those tended to be in the 399,000 range. As I already said, they went to these Germans, but that was because the Soviets took over the factory. Eventually, they blew up the factory. They took all the equipment out, moved it to one of their own factories in Russia, and then blew up the factory. So that's just a little bit of what happened immediately after the war. Oh, I wanted to show you the magazine. A magazine is phosphate, again, late war phosphate, and has a W on the back. That's only found in 1945. You won't see that on a PPK. You'll only see it on the PP. So phosphate, W mark, 1945. All of this says 1945 production. This also tells me that it's definitely 1945. This is a blued magazine and no W. So that's fine too. It just means it was in the factory, picked it up. A GI, I'm convinced the GI picked this up, brought it home, mismatched GI put together. And now, a quick timeout to do a shout out to our new sponsor. Claim Climbers is a company that specializes in helping veterans navigate the VA disability claims process. Claim Climbers offers medical records review, assistance in finding necessary records, and in some cases, they can assist you with your appeals. They emphasize the importance of having evidence that will link your disability with your service. This is fee for service, but they will be completely transparent with you as to the fees. So again, if you're interested in Claim Climbers, check the information in the link below. Let's take a look at one other source when it comes to Walther PPs and PPKs. This is our Walther book. Actually, it was published by Legacy Collectibles, but written by Dieter Marshall. He's a great guy out of Germany. He actually knows way more about Walthers than I do, and he was a historian for the Walther company, worked for them for a while. In his book, and I highly recommend, of course, we have the PPKs, and he has different serial numbers, but basically for the last one made, he has 431097K. So let's quickly review this information. So Dieter Marshall has 431097. Legacy Collectibles, we have 431115 and 116 as the last ones made. And then Rankin has 433521A. And of course, I mentioned the A doesn't make sense. Let's go back to this. So first of all, the slide. Let's talk about the slide. The slide looks refinished to me. There's no logo, looks buffed. So this is an earlier slide, 60 degree. It's a high polished finish, but it's been re-blued and it's been buffed. This has no finish, and you can see the machining marks. Machining marks, normally, late war, 1945, well, you see some, I don't know if you can see them, but there's some machining marks here. Here you can see them. See the machining marks? They didn't bother buffing out those machining marks in 1945, but in 1944, you don't see any machining marks on. These are the ones that I have that are late war. No machining marks. This has all been polished and then finished. They're beautiful guns. They easily could look exactly like a gun made in 1942. But here, clearly you see machining marks, late war, no finish. Here you have no machining marks. Bottom line is this is put together. Now, let's take a look at the serial number. Since the last one we have on record is 431, this is several thousand later, and it has an A suffix. These, of course, all have, these late war guns all have a K, and the PPs have a P. P for PP, K for PPK. So where's the A from? We have no idea, can't explain it, and even in the write-up that Rankin has, he says we can't explain the A. Now, notice the font. The font is very different. If it was numbered in the factory, it definitely used a different font, and it has an A suffix. That doesn't make sense. And then one other thing, it has an eagle N. Here's a close-up of the eagle N. It's a little bit larger than the one here. Notice this one, the wings are horizontal, and here the wings go vertical. Now, I'm not saying this is wrong. I think it might have been a stamp that was in the factory because it looks actually more like a P38 stamp. But it's not the same stamp that was used during regular production. Because it's just a different size and it's slightly different. But looking at it in the close-up, I actually think it is a factory stamp, but I don't know when it was applied. And same way with the serial number, I can't explain the A, and I don't understand the font because it's completely different than the ones that were produced in 1944. Okay, hold on everybody, pardon the interruption, but believe it or not, I finished the whole video and then we went to lunch. While I was at lunch, my favorite gunsmith, John, stopped by. I totally forgot about this gun. I had given him this gun as a project because I couldn't get the grips off because the threads were stripped and I didn't want to hurt the gun at all. Beautiful grips, beautiful gun. And he brought it back and I thought, I should have put this in the video because it's very, very similar, and it kind of supports the theory of the larger font. Let's take a look at it. Remember I said this larger font and the A. Here we have larger font and an X. Now, my explanation on this one was it was found in the factory. It had no serial number on it. It's got to be from 1945. You see, by the way, this is Dural aluminum. You can see the same machining marks on the frame. This one, they actually put the serial number on the other side. Just to lend even more credence, put together from parts, no logo. Notice the safety is engraved. So somebody needed a safety. They found one in the bin, happened to be engraved. They happened to find gray grips, which are just phenomenal, with a gray finger extension to match. None of that is relevant, but I just wanted you to see it's kind of tarnished, no proof marks. You can see the aluminum frame where it goes up to against the steel. Look at that, fire blue there. So that was a part that was in the factory. This is a high polish blued hammer. Beautiful gun. Look at that. And if we look at the font, and here's a close-up of the font, you see how they do the 3. Quick look here. On the factory 3, you see the flat top. On these, it's a bigger font and a rounded top. And so we see a close-up here of the 433. You can see it's stamped, not engraved. And the same thing here. This is a stamp. Now, it's a little bit cruder. And at the end, they put an X. So as much as I'm talking myself into or out of this, we can see very similar. This was stamped. Probably the GI that wanted to bring it home had to put a serial number on it. And I've heard those stories before that if you brought it back, you had to put a serial number on it. Sometimes they brought them back in duffel bags and didn't bother, but for people who tried to follow the law. And by the way, that could, when you look at this close-up, that could be a 1 before the 53. But whatever it is, we see 53X in a similar font to this one. Am I crazy or what? I own this gun, so why wouldn't I be talking it up? I'm saying I can't explain it. I don't know why it skips a couple thousand and then this one appears out of nowhere. But it is a part of history. It is famous. because it's long believed to be the last one ever made, and perhaps it is. I just can't explain it. I think it's video worthy just because it leaves you scratching your head. Notice that bluing here, polished, polished, no polish. So put together from parts. It's got a wartime magazine, and then it has a one-piece grip, which would be correct for the end of the war. So what's your opinion? Why don't you comment below? Do you think it's famous, last one made, or infamous, somebody's pulling my leg? I'm happy to own it. I'm going to keep it for now. If you're interested in the gun, you can contact me, but for right now, I'm enjoying it. That's what I love about collecting Walthers. There's so many different varieties and configurations going to all kinds of different people. A lot of history in these guns. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of the action.